He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. It's a major decision in the Supreme Court today that nobody understands but me, and I will explain it to you in plain English in due course, among many other things we have to get to. But I found a very interesting, relatively short essay while doing research over the weekend for the program and so forth, even while I was away. And it was October 25, 2008. A week or so before the November 2008 disastrous election in which Obama beat the disastrous McCain. And I blame McCain for Obama, and I blame Romney for Obama. For all of the folks who talk about, whoa, these guys can't lose. We got to nominate them. I'm going to get into all this later, but I'm going to read this to you. And then we'll get into some specifics, things that are going on today and so forth. And the author writes, I've been thinking this for a while, so I might as well air it here. He's writing at National View Online. I honestly never thought we see such a thing in our country, not yet anyway. But I sense what's occurring in this election is a recklessness and abandonment of rationality that has preceded the voluntary surrender of liberty and security in other places. I can't help but observe that even some conservatives are caught in the moment as their attempts at explaining their support for Barack Obama are unpersuasive and even illogical. And the pull appears to be rather strong. Ken Edelman, Doug Kimmick, and others, and they served in the Reagan administration, reach for the usual platitudes in explaining themselves but are utterly incoherent. Even non-conservatives with significant public policy and real-world experiences, such as Colin Powell and Charles Freed, he was on the Supreme Court of Massachusetts, worked again in the Reagan administration, find Obama alluring but can't explain themselves in an intelligent way. There is a cult-like atmosphere around Barack Obama, which his campaign is carefully and successfully fabricated, which concerns me. This Messiah complex, feigning audience members at rallies, special Obama flags and an Obama presidential seal, a graphic with the portrayal of the globe and Obama's name on it, which adorns everything from Obama's plane to his street literature. Young school children singing songs praising Obama, teenagers wearing camouflage outfits and marching in military order, chanting Obama's name and the professions he's going to open to them. An Obama World Tour culminating in a speech in Berlin where Obama proclaims we are all citizens of the world. I dare say this is ominous stuff. Again, this is October 25, 2008. Even the media are drawn to the allure that is Obama. Yes, the media are liberal. Even so, it's obvious that this election is different. The media are open and brazen in their attempts to influence the outcome of this election. I've never seen anything like it. Virtually all evidence of Obama's past influences and radicalism, from Jeremiah Wright to William Ayers, have been raised by non-traditional news sources. The media's role has been to ignore it as long as possible, then mention it if they must, and finally dismiss it and those who raise it in the first place. It's as if the media used the Obama campaign's talking points, its preposterous assertions that Obama didn't hear right from the pulpit, railing about black liberation, whites, Jews, etc., that Obama had no idea Ayers was a domestic terrorist, despite their close political, social, and working relationship, etc., to protect Obama from legitimate and routine scrutiny. And because journalists have also become commentators, it's hard to miss their almost uniform admiration for Obama and excitement about an Obama presidency. So in the tank are the media for Obama that for months we've read news stories and opinion pieces insisting that if Obama is not elected president, it will be due to white racism. And of course, while experience is crucial in assessing Sarah Palin's qualifications for vice president, no such standard is applied to Obama's qualifications for president. No longer is it acceptable to minimize the work of a community organizer. Charles Gibson, well, that's a name from the past, and Katie Couric sought to humiliate Palin. They would never and have never tried such an approach with Obama. But beyond the elites and the media, my greatest concern is whether this election will show a majority of the voters susceptible to the appeal of a charismatic demagogue. Remember? October 25, 2008. This may seem a harsh term to some, and no doubt will to Obama supporters, but it's perfectly appropriate characterization. Obama's entire campaign is built on class warfare and human envy. The change he peddles is not new. We've seen it before. It is change that diminishes individual liberty for the soft authoritarianism of socialism. It is a populist appeal that disguises government-mandated wealth redistribution as tax cuts for the middle class, falsely blames capitalism for the social policies and government corruption, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, that led to the current turmoil in our financial markets, fuels contempt for commerce and trade by stigmatizing those who run successful small and large businesses, and exploits human imperfection as a justification for a massive expansion of central government. Obama's appeal to the middle class is an appeal to the proletariat, as an infamous philosopher once described it, about which a mythology has been created. Rather than pursue the American dream, he insists the American dream has arbitrary limits. Limits Obama would set for the rest of us. Today it's $250,000 for businesses and even less for individuals. And if the individual dares to succeed beyond the limits set by Obama, he's punished, for he's now officially rich. The value of his physical and intellectual labor must be confiscated in greater amounts for the good of the proletariat, that is, the middle class. And so it is that the middle class, the birth child of capitalism, is both celebrated and enslaved for its own good and the greater good. The hope Obama represents, therefore, is not hope at all. It is the misery of his utopianism imposed on the individual. October 25, 2008, he goes on. Unlike past Democrat presidential candidates, Obama is a hardened ideologue. He's not interested in playing around the edges. He seeks fundamental change, that is, to remake society. And if the Democrats control Congress with supermajorities led by Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, he will get much of what he demands. The question is whether enough Americans understand what's at stake in this election, and if they do, whether they care. Is the allure of a charismatic demagogue so strong that the usually sober American people are willing to risk an Obama presidency? After all, it ensnared Edelman and Kamek, Powell and Fried, and numerous others. And while America will certainly survive, it will do so in many respects as a different place. This was a week or so before the 2008 presidential election. The National Review Online, the title of the piece is The Obama Temptation, and the author is me. And you see, folks, I had pretty much finished the book Liberty and Tyranny when I decided to put that essay together on Obama. Because at the time, I know you'll say, well, what's the big deal? At the time, it was a big deal. At the time, people were not speaking out. Mr. Producer will tell you, at the time when I said this man is a Marxist ideologue, I came under enormous attacks. Nobody in this business would call it like that. Again, I'm not bragging, I'm just pointing out, I know history, I know philosophy, I know what I see, and I know what I saw. And now we all do, don't we? And many of you agreed with me at the time. Many of you saw it too. I look at Hillary Clinton now. I'm not going to spend the show on her wealth. I don't care about her wealth. But it is important to expose the Hillary Clintons, the Bill Clintons, the Al Gores, the Barack Obamas, the millionaires and billionaires of the left. It's important to expose them as they propose and argue for class warfare and big government, centralized government solutions that punish their enemies and reward their constituent groups. While they're raking it in hand over fist, you and I, we don't attack wealth creation. We believe in free market capitalism. We reject crony capitalism. We support people getting rich if that's what they wish to do. We support economic growth. We like those things. But the left must be forced to defend its hypocrisy, preaching about inequality, pushing class warfare, claiming to represent the poor and the little guy in the middle class, while all the time using them and enriching themselves. Has there ever been a liberal Democrat who left office poorer than they entered office? Has there ever been a liberal Democrat who's sworn to poverty, or even to the middle class, as the leftists like to call it? How did Al Gore earn $150 million? Bill Clinton, $100 million. Hillary Clinton already $20, $25, $30 million. Barack Obama despises capitalism, despises private property rights. The man's worth over $10 million. Harry Reid, land-swapping Harry Reid, worth nearly $20 million. Nancy Pelosi, one of the wealthiest people in Congress, she and her husband, non-union vineyards and all the rest. Dianne Feinstein, she and her husband have made more money off of communist China than anybody I know of. And I could go down the list. These people cannot be permitted to get away with their Marxist propaganda while they're shoving cash in their pockets hand over fist. That's why it's important. That's why it's important to point it out. Not because we reject capitalism, we embrace it wholly and fully. It's because they claim to reject it and attack the wealthy. Whether she pays ordinary income taxes or not is quite beside the point, isn't it? Whether she inherited her wealth is quite beside the point. I will say this, Mr. Producer. A woman that has all that kind of money, married to a husband that has all that kind of money, you would think she would buy a new pantsuit. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I'm going to make this really easy, the Supreme Court decision today, because unless you handle these sort of things over time, it can be very, very complicated, and the news reporting has been absolutely abysmal. It's been terrible. And I'm going to put this in plain English. There was a Supreme Court decision several years ago